my absolute favorite newspaper and my favorite reporter, actually my second favorite reporter, the lying, disturbed, cheating, Dana, I never get her name right, Bimbow, Hunsager, Bimbo, I never get it right. She did it in depth. Now, you got to take this with a grain of salt because she has never, if you read her, she does not tell the truth. But that's okay. We'll take her word for it here because these are numbers that have been verified through other groups. Caitlin Clark. Now, think about Caitlin Clark here. Caitlin Clark single-handedly generated 26.5% of the WNBA's entire revenue last season. Now, why are you bringing up Caitlin Clark here? I'll tell you why I'm bringing up Caitlin Clark. Because I think the Mets are insane. And when I say insane, $765 million over 15 years. There's incentives in there, too. How are you possibly giving incentives when you're already giving 15 years, $765 million? But let me go back to Caitlin Clark. This is the kind of impact that a player can have. I don't anticipating this being the kind of impact for the Mets. Why? Two reasons. One, it's baseball. There's 9 guys on the field. And two, he's already been in New York. People have already seen him. But maybe, hey, look, Steve Cohen and the Mets are much smarter than me. But let me give you this. She brought in $36 million in economic impact to the city of Indianapolis. Now, is Soto going to be able to do that? I don't think so. Here it is. Clark is responsible for 26.5 of the WNBA's league-wide activity for the 2024 season, including attendance, merchandise sales, televisions. 1 of every 6 tickets sold at a WNBA arena can be attributed to Clark. How about that? Now, again, this is Dana, I never forget, Hunsager Bimbo or Bimbo Hunsager. I can never get it right. But she is awful. She is the worst of the worst. But I'm guessing she had some smart people do this because these numbers have been verified by me and my peeps. Not really, but I like saying that. Makes me sound like I got peeps. But you tell me Juan Soto is going to be responsible for 1 in every 6 tickets sold? Man, it's insane. Now, I understand you can double, triple, quadruple, go by 20 times the revenue generated by Major League Baseball as compared to the WNBA. But I'm giving you a little bit of an insight into what player can do, and I don't think Soto's that guy. I really don't. 1 of every 6 tickets sold at a WNBA arena can be attributed to Clark. Total TV viewership due to Clark is up 300%. And 45% of total broadcast value came from Fever games. That's unbelievable. The league's merchandise sales catapulted 500%, with Clark ranking number 1, followed by the boil on her backside, Angel Reese, another rookie, who, by the way, is taking off her clothes again. Man, she needs to leave something to the imagination because I get it. Everybody, look, you like what you like, but wouldn't hurt her to keep her clothes on. That Sophie Cunningham is taking her clothes off, too. The WNBA got it going on. Now, I don't know that Juan Soto does that. I don't know that Juan Soto in New York takes his clothes off. Could be. Here's more on Clark. All right, and I want you to always compare this to Soto, a baseball player. Think about it, $765 million. Our genius in the back, Dylan, who is brilliant, came up to that's over $100,000 a day if it gets to $800,000, which you could with incentives. How about that? A day. The Fever's regular season game attendance averaged more than 17,000 fans. The first time a WNBA team has drawn more than 300,000 fans in a season. Clark's regular season game watched by 1.2 million. Viewers on average, 199% more than non-Clark games. I don't know how you pay this woman. No, I really don't. I don't know. In baseball, you just pay her. You got all this money, and you got Soto out there, and you pay her. I don't know how you pay her. I really don't. How do you pay her worth? I mean, $76,000 is not her worth. Now, people can say, well, if Clark wasn't in the league, she wouldn't have this kind of value. And that may or may not be true, given that Clark, 18 million people watched her national championship college basketball game. Let's go to Soto. I mean, Soto wants to play in Japan. Soto wants to play South America. He's not generating this kind of income for himself. He needs Major League Baseball. Sure, he would be a star. Sure, he would have a following, but not to the tune of 15 years, $765 million. And I'm not mad at either. Look, I'm not mad at the city for making money. I'm not mad at the WNBA for underpaying. I'm not mad at Major League Baseball for overpaying. But when I saw these numbers, I started equating, could Soto really have an economic impact? The answer, of course, is yes. The Mets will be on national TV more. I'm sure their sponsorship rights went up. But if I'm a business in New York City, I've already seen what Soto can or cannot do. If I'm a business in Indianapolis or with the WNBA, I'm trying to get into the Caitlin Clark business some way, somehow. Now, I don't know what the rules are. To this point, the salaries, even for veterans, even for stars, are capped. But you might have to uncap this, and frankly, you might have to uncap it for Angel Reese, too. She has a kind of a weird, Jay-Z, P. Diddy kind of weird rapper following. And here's how I know this. When you follow, and I do because I want to know what's going on. WNBA is a big deal in my town. When you follow the careers of both of these, both are really good players. I mean, Reese can't make a layup, but she sure can get a rebound, and there's value in that. She likes to take off her clothes. Caitlin Clark likes to be, I guess, the All-American tomboy girl, and it's all cool with me. The followers are certainly different. You got 8 million little Iowa fans, Indiana fans following Clark, and you got all these dudes that are trying to, quote, get wit. Angel Reese. It's very odd to me. Very, very odd. Anyway, I'd pay them both. Hey, man, I would figure out a way in the WNBA to get Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese some money, particularly Clark. But Reese, too. Problem for Reese is she plays in a big city where there's a lot going on. And unless you have something different, which she's trying to do by showing her ass, people are going to walk away pretty quick. Anyway, here it is. The astonishing number of all of this is Clark's economic impact on our great city. All right? Which Brewer, who's the person involved here, says is upwards of $36 million. Not as big as the NBA All-Star Game's $400 million financial boost to the city in February, but a respectable 10% of that. Well, with far less STDs, far less pregnancies, far less rapes, robs, and murders, the NBA All-Star Game comes to your city. You got to put a giant condom over the city. You do. That's not my line. I think that was from Chris Rock. I think it was Chris Rock. It could be somebody else. I can't remember. But it is pretty funny. Put a giant condom over the city. The NBA All-Star Game is coming. It all begs the question. It's a complicated question, multi-layered question that involves lessons in business, marketing, risk, rewards, and economic impact. Will Clark ever be paid by the WNBA what she is really worth to the league? That's interesting. See, I would argue Soto, I would think, now this is just me, I would think that Steve Cohen and others did a financial assessment of bringing Juan Soto across town. I would think. And I would think that the number that they gave Soto was a business decision, not a fanboy, we've got to beat the Yankees decision, although I'm sure both factored in. See, to me, the WNBA, if you are going to move into the new world, you got to loosen the purse strings for the players, particularly the best. I would say this. I would tell if you got to get around it, which the Pacers have done, obviously with her relationship with Gainbridge, the fieldhouse is named Gainbridge Fieldhouse, so she has side deals. But if I'm the WNBA, I take a look at my salary structure, but you know what's going to happen. The angry lesbians are going to come out. Both black and white, the angry lesbians from past and current are going to come out bitching, whining, and moaning. See, that's the beauty of men's sports. Men's sports will be like, yeah, we'll complain, then we'll get a deal, then we'll shut up. The women need to complain. They do, all of them. The women need to say, wait a second here. Yeah, Caitlin Clark has driven it, but so did Magic and Bird back in the 80s. So did Michael in the 90s. So did LeBron and Kobe in the 2000s. There's always someone driving the league revenue. And it ain't the seventh man on the Phoenix Suns, for crying out loud. So if I were the women of the WNBA, I'd be loud, I'd be proud. I'd put all that sex shit away. I'd put all that lesbian and all the victim stuff away because nobody that sits on top of big buildings making corporate decisions wants to hear that. I would continue to sell the sex. I would. And the basketball. I mean, that seems to be working. And I would continue if I were Caitlin Clark to be above it all. See, there's a mystery with Caitlin Clark. And it's not her fault, her doing, and I don't even think it's scripted. She just goes about her business. It isn't that rare in this world. It's kind of the same thing with Soto. Like Soto kind of just goes about his business. I saw a social media post yesterday where he jumps in water. I don't know what he's doing. But anyway, it is fascinating that today this came out about Caitlin Clark's impact. And today, last night late, 765 over 15 years came out with Soto. There is no chance, I don't think, that Soto makes that back. Now, opening day, you kind of got to go game by game, last year to this year, with the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. One with Soto, the Mets one without Soto. It's going to be kind of fascinating. Hey, I guess, good for the Mets. I guess bad for the Yankees. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, good for us here in Indy because I love having Caitlin Clark in our city. All right, first time ever, 12-team college football playoff, and people be mad, yo. There was nothing funnier than watching the reaction. I said this at the time. I said, in NCAA basketball, we have 68 teams. Okay, there's 33 leagues, so there's 35 at-large teams. We bitch, whine, and moan about number 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. We do. We get all emotional. Guys give emotional pleas. I've been in those seats. I had a couple of my Bowling Green teams sitting there with the ESPN camera, waiting for our reaction either with glee or waiting for our reaction either sad. Both times, 3 times sad. Okay, we move it along. We push it forward. Here's the deal. The Crimson Tide had 3 losses. It's the first ever 12-team playoff bracket. There was drama. There was drama. The drama involved the SEC, who only got 3 teams. I told you I was standing there actually, on the sideline, Indiana, Ohio State, with Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten. And Tony, hey, exact quote, we're getting 4 in. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And, boy, he was right. But the Alabama Crimson Tide held on to 3 losses, 2 of which were ugly. The Vanderbilt game, ugly. The Oklahoma game, really ugly. They didn't get the nod. As a 2-loss Mustangs, that's right, SMU slid into the 11th spot. Let's look at the bracket. I kind of digging at Clemson. Now, I do think this. I'm not going to get into the weeds on who should be where, but I do think, look, just because you win a conference championship, you shouldn't get a bye. Clemson won a conference championship. They did get an automatic entry, but it's as a 12 seed against Texas. Hey, I don't know. Texas has a real shot. Everybody that's come on our show told me how good Texas was. I said, no. You do not bet against Kirby Smart when he's getting points, period. You don't. I'm sorry, you don't. Tennessee, there you go, Dylan. Nico Noga. I don't know who Nico Noga is, but I think he was a baseball player way back in the day because I remember we always said Nico Noga. I don't know. I don't even know how far back in the day it is. Hell, I don't think it's a slur. I think it's a guy's name, so don't at me about it. But they take on The Ohio State University, and Herbie had some unbelievably smart things to say. He said this, and this is true. It's almost, not 100%. It would almost be better if Ohio State went and played on the road. Why? Man, I'm telling you, when you come into your own environment and it's nasty. I learned this before. On my way to the Ohio State-Indiana game, 3 of my friends that are Ohio State massive fans, all 3 have season tickets actually, or go to every home game. They told me, listen for this. Listen for when Ohio Stadium, the Horseshoe, 110,000 people gets nervous. You'll hear it. You'll feel it. Indiana scored on the first drive. People started booing, and next thing you know, the place was nervous. It was really fascinating. And when Herbie said that yesterday, they're going to boo Ryan Day when he comes out. They're going to boo a 3rd and 5 that doesn't get got. And next thing you know, everybody's going to be nervous, uptight, puckering like they did against Michigan. And it'd almost be better. I don't believe that wholeheartedly. I think at the end of the day, fans come through for you. It matters how you play. You're more comfortable at home. But that was an interesting comment. SMU should not have been in there. And Alabama shouldn't have been either. I'm putting South Carolina with 6 straight wins. Are you kidding me? 3 against ranked teams, 3 on the road. Are you out of your mind in the SEC? Crazy to me that they weren't even considered. Everybody just assumed, for whatever the reason, that Alabama was the team. Hey, look, I'm not going to get into the weeds on who got what would you do? But Indiana should have got a home game, and SMU should have been out, and South Carolina should be in. Penn State, I thought looked all right. They were swimming upstream against a much better Oregon team. You know, it was one of those games where you're just getting close enough to get beat. That's kind of the way that game seemed to be. But, hey, I got to give James Franklin and his crew credit, man. They got to the championship game. Now, there are all kind of numbers like 1-10 against top 10 teams for James Franklin. I get all that. But, hey, this is a new day. This is a new opportunity. Good for them. They got a pretty good path. Indiana and Notre Dame. I made the world nuts yesterday. Just a simple little video, which I may send to my boys to have them play. Just a little video where it's like, hey, you know what? Indiana caught a break. Personally, I would much rather go to Notre Dame than Georgia if I'm Indiana. I would. I don't think Notre Dame is great. Now, I have said this all year. I have said all year long that Indiana is a very good team and beat the living crap out of mediocre teams. I've said all year that Marcus Freeman has done a really good job at Notre Dame, particularly getting them back from the debacle that was Northern Illinois. But they haven't beaten anybody but mediocre teams. I get it. Army and Navy are great stories, and I'm going to sit my fat ass down Saturday and watch the Army-Navy game. I love that game. I think both teams are really good, but they're not. Come on. I mean, they're not game after game. Even they're not game after game Big Ten-wise. So, my opinion, I said this yesterday, Indiana got a break. I think Indiana's going to win by 2 scores. I do. I think Indiana's going to go into South Bend. The weather's not going to be horrible. If you know anything, if you've ever driven east to west or west to east across the toll road, we call it the toll road. Some people call it I-90. I call it the toll road. You know, once you get just into Notre Dame from either side, whether it's just a little bit east of LaPorte or coming in the other way through Elkhart, it is, it can be, It's like a little part of hell. Yes, I know it's a Catholic school, but it's a little part of hell. But it's not supposed to be that way. And Indiana's damn good now. Can Indiana beat the number 1-2 team in the country? Maybe not, but they can beat another high-end middle team. I think Indiana goes in there. I think they got a hell of a break. Ken Dillingham's one of my favorite coaches. I love that guy. I do. I think he's great. He's got a baby face, 34 years old. He took Arizona State from the debacle of Herm Edwards and Antonio Pierce and got him in the playoff, won the Big 12. Think about the teams that have come into leagues and won in their first year. Texas won it outright, number 1 seed in the SEC. Think about Arizona State. Man, they just came in there and won the league. What? Picked last. What? Another by Oregon. They seemingly are the best team. Boise State looked really good, but hey, look, I wouldn't mind playing Boise State in the second round neutral site. Now, Georgia's the one. Now, hang on, caller. Georgia's the one. If I'm sitting there, there are 2 paths that I'm digging. I'm digging Texas, and I ain't mad at all at Penn State's route. In fact, I would argue Penn State, the 6th seed, got the best route. Yes, I know SMU is good, and I like the coach. But if you're going to tell me you got to beat SMU and Boise to get to the Final Four, shoot, I'll take that every time. I will. Anyway, this is fun. And I get it. See, I told you this, the number 13 team we're going to bitch, whine, and moan about. I understand why they give the conference champs automatic entry or a bye. I do. Look, if you don't, then these college football championship games that rake in so much money aren't going to be played. What's the point? So I get it. I swear I do. And I'm not here to fix it. I've always said, I ain't here to fix this stuff. I'm here to enjoy it. When I was working in college basketball and Joe Lunardi was all the rage with the bracketology, I used to piss everybody off going, look, I got to figure those people in that room, they've studied this. Sure, they have bias, but I ain't here to fix it. And they're going to tell us who's playing, and my fat ass is going to be watching. That's how I look at it. Many people don't, but I'm not the guy. I am not the fixer. I am the watcher, the enjoyer, the better, the big fat guy that sits on the couch that everybody wants to hang out with and watch football with. That's my role in this, period. It's also to be the truth teller. Indiana got a hell of a break. They did. Look, they may get their ass beat. They're going to have to stop the run. I get all of that. But boy, oh boy, I'd rather go to South Bend than Georgia. I just would. I'd rather go to South Bend than Penn State. I'd rather go to South Bend than Texas. I'd rather go to South Bend than Ohio State. Just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Hey, the NBA has no shame. They don't care. They're bending the knee to China, agreeing to host preseason games in a communist country after former Rockets general manager enraged the CCP when he tweeted in support of the pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong a few years back. It's clear the NBA is fine with turning a blind eye to human rights abuses, if it means they can make millions of bucks off the communist country. They don't care. Do not Chinese lives matter? I don't know. Like, is that a racist thing to say, Chinese lives matter? It's all very confusing. I mean, the guy, our friend, Grant Napier with the Sacramento Kings, got fired for saying all lives matter. What? What? So Chinese lives apparently do not matter. The return is a culmination of years-long process to repair the relationship between the NBA and China following Commissioner Adam Silver and the league's support for freedom of expression after the then Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted an image that supported protests in Hong Kong in October 2019. Is that unbelievable? Like, relationships, just stop it right there for a second. Relationships are so fragile that one man's tweet can affect the relationship between a country and a billion-dollar operation, a multi-billion-dollar operation. I just want you to think about that for a second. One tweet by one dude, a general manager, this is what it's saying right here, caused all that havoc. Man, Twitter's powerful. You can say it's not real life, but it is real life. The divide then led to the loss of lucrative sponsorships, one tweet, and the temporary removal of NBA games from Chinese broadcast television in 19, which cost the league hundreds of millions in the ensuing season. Now, just think about that for a second. Next time somebody tells you Twitter isn't real life, it's a cesspool, just think about this. One man, Daryl Morey, Houston, Texas, the general manager of an NBA team, the Houston Rockets, sends one tweet in support of Hong Kong riots against China, and millions of dollars is lost. And it took years to repair the NBA, who was pissed off privately, publicly, though, having to defend Daryl Morey's right to free speech. Just think about that. That's astounding. Well, Dan, Twitter doesn't mean anything. Twitter isn't real life. Really? I disagree. I do. As if this whole presidential campaign wasn't just in the toilet. It couldn't get, I'm going to use a word I've never used before, but in homage to Nick and Nick, couldn't get more cringe. What am I, a 12-year-old girl? Representatives from Kamala Harris's campaign wanted former ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski to break the news that she had selected Tim Walz as her nominee for vice president. Now, ESPN did not respond to our request asking whether management would have permitted Wojnarowski. Of course they would have, to break the news. Of course they would have. Are you crazy? They would have kissed Wojnarowski's ass to be involved in the liberal nonsense that Wojnarowski, ESPN, and, of course, Waltz are involved in. Oh, my God. The network did, however, tell OutKick in August that it would not accept the suggestion from one of Harris's allies to have her sit down with Feinbaum for an interview. Tapping Wojnarowski to report to Walsh News was another attempt by the Harris campaign to humanize her and better appeal to everyday voters. Despite her campaign's effort, Harris failed to ever truly resonate with ordinary Americans. The Financial Times conducted a study post-election that found Harris had drifted farther to the left than independent voters were comfortable with, leaving the median voter behind. Well, not only that, but she was a clown. I mean, look, she's a punchline. Now, here's why you get Wojnarowski, because the Harris folk think that Wojnarowski, because he is with the NBA, appeals to the black voter. I mean, how short-sighted, and you could also say racist, is that? We all understand that ESPN and all the networks can't wait to put those ads up from NBA players saying, vote, vote. I got to tell you, those ads aren't up there because it's saying vote Donald Trump. Hell, the NBA had never, not once in their history, canceled all of their games on Election Day until 2020, when they helped elect America's most corrupt and worst president, a vegetable, literal, named Joe Biden. That's how dumb the NBA is. They wanted you to vote for Joe freaking Biden. Now, I'm guessing Joe Biden somehow, some way was in the pocket of the NBA. But you're not fooling us. Let's be honest. If somebody did a deep dive into the lifestyle of NBA players, you would see P. Diddy, you would see Jay-Z. You just would. I mean, watch those two idiots on their little thing Up in Smoke, where they talk about drinking beers on the bench, acting like fools, guns, shooting, blah, 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 blah. Or talk to Tony Dungy for having lived next to Steven Jackson, one of those fools on that Up in Smoke. The guns, the stupidity, the drugs, the parties, the women, everything you can possibly imagine going on with idiot NBA players. Deep dive into the NBA would find that. But hey, somehow, some way, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris thought, well, let's get this white guy to drop a Woj bomb. Good for Wojnarowski. Good for ESPN. Harris, here's an idea. Just go away for a little bit. Go away. A California high school, this is good, is addressing the controversy involving a transgender athlete on its cross-country team in a lawsuit by two girls on the team alleging listen to this, Save Girls shirts, the T-shirts, were compared to swastikas by school administrators, telling their critics to blame lawmakers in D.C. and California. In a statement provided to Fox News Digital, the Riverside Unified School Corporation School District, RUSD, says it allowed the transgender athlete to compete on the team because it must comply with state law. The school said those are upset by it should direct their anger to state and federal lawmakers. As these matters play out in our courts and media, opposition and protest should be directed at those in a position to affect these laws and policies, including officials in D.C. and Sacramento, the statement said. There you go. The statement also cited language in the California Education Code, California Code of Regulations, and California Interscholastic Federation bylaws, all of which outline protections for transgender athletes in public schools. It's important to remember that RUSD is bound to follow California law, which requires that students be permitted to participate in sex-segregated school programs and activities, including athletic teams and competition, consistent with his or her gender identity, irrespective of the gender listed on the pupil's record. Is that amazing? Hey, man, what's up? Saw y'all got a game, women's game, sectional championship, against Roosevelt High. Roosevelt was our rival in high school. Yeah, we do, Dan. I feel like a woman today. Go get you 30. We can get that win. See, by all accounts, that's what can happen. As long as you have a physical and all that stuff, right? If I'm a basketball player and I've gone through all of the things you've got to go through, a physical, academically, you got to be cleared. What's stopping me from walking up to the women's coach going, yo, coach, I feel like a chick today. Maybe tucking my thing between my legs. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling like a woman today. I'm feeling a little saucy today. I dropped 30 against Roosevelt tonight. I know their tallest player is 6'1". I'm 6'5". Drop it down. I'll give them the hookers. I mean, seriously, don't worry about your gender. Worry about how you're identifying, how you're feeling. Oh, my God. Hey, Biden's going to leave office, according to studies, as the worst president in modern history, according to voters. It's really a devastating poll, and I follow this. I do. Worst president in my lifetime up until Biden was Jimmy Carter. Never heard the word inflation, never heard about 2-hour gas lines, never heard about the Ayatollah Khomeini, nothing. But we had it with Jimmy Carter, and honest to God, is this reminiscent. Thank God Reagan came in and saved the day on his horse because he wore a cowboy hat. See, Ronald Reagan was a real cowboy or a fake cowboy, played one in the movies, who adopted the persona. I don't know. But what I do know is this study can't be wrong. No, it can't be wrong. Listen to this. 1,006 registered voters were asked to rank the last 9 presidents in order, best to worst. Biden came out at the bottom, making him the worst in 47 years. 44% placed him as one of the worst 2. 14% placed him in the top 2, giving him a net score of 30 points underwater. James Johnson, co-founder of JL Partners, which conducted the poll, called it a diabolical result for Biden. Voters have obviously looked at his age, general conduct in office, botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, situation at the southern border, decided that, in their view, it qualifies for him to be the worst president in modern history. And that's the position in which he leaves office. For the man who beat Trump to the man who let him back in, and who voters feel has been fundamentally a bad president. Well, that's akin to tell Noah about the flood. We all kind of knew. Y'all were scared to say that for a long time because somehow, some way, saying that the worst president in the history of the United States is the worst president in the history of the United States was racist, sexist, ageist. I don't know. But the morons that elected him got exactly what they elected. They did. You can argue with me all you like. Hey, little Sunday night football for you last night. I took the over as a bad bet. Chiefs beat the Chargers 19-17. Rams beat the Bills. Hell of a game, man. Man, Bills came storming back. Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things. But you know what? Matthew Stafford and the Bills, 44-42. Now that's Big 12, NFL football. Tell you what, I'm going to say this going back to the Chiefs. Going back to the Chiefs, you play all these close games, some point you're going to get your ass beat. No, you are. Now, as the season goes on, some of these games get more and more important, although they won their division last night. So it'll go down, and then it'll come back up in importance. You play all these close games, you rely on a kicker, you're going to get your ass beaten one of them. Man, the Vikings, how about frickin' Sam Darnold? Holy cow, he's like 13-0, meaning 13 touchdowns to 0 interception over his last 3. I think he had 5 yesterday. Man, that Jordan Addison's pretty good. Addison, Jefferson on the corner. Woo! And you know who is in charge of all of it? The great Ryan Grigson. Isn't that something? 49ers beat the Bears. Yeah, new coach, same result, right? All I saw was this. Same thing I saw under Eberflus. Bad offensive line making Caleb Williams run for his life. Man, oh man, that dude's got no shot. You can tell he's got an arm. I don't know anything else because you couldn't tell anything else. In that ass whooping yesterday, Brock Purdy looked pretty good, playing a little desperate. But man, oh man, the Bears, everybody thought this Thomas Brown was the answer. He wasn't yesterday. Now, maybe he will be moving forward. But that was an ass-kicking from jump. Oh, man, come on. Jets were up for most of the game. Tua got it tied, got the ball in overtime. Went down the field. Hey, this Juju Smith, he didn't catch a ball in regulation. Next thing you know, he must have cussed Tua out and said, yo, I need the rock. Give me the damn rock. He got the rock, and he took that rock into the end zone, and Miami stayed alive. That's a bad loss for my beloved Colts. Colts won the bye, by the way. They kicked the living hell out of the bye. No, they did. No, they had a great weekend against the bye. But, damn, it wouldn't have been bad. It would not have been bad to see the Dolphins get beat if you are Colts fans. Saints beat the Giants 14-11 in a horrible game, and I had the Saints. I don't know how the NFL does this. I don't know how gambling does this. I had the Saints. The Saints were 5-point favorite. I had them 5. Giants are so damn bad. Danny DeVito not going, or Tommy DeVito, whatever the hell his name is, isn't going to be making any more commercials. Nope. Hey, before we go to break, calling all OutKick fans, members of the Don't At Me Army, get ready to deck your wardrobe with exclusive OutKick holiday clothing lines. Embrace the spirit of the season while showing off your bold and patriotic fashion sense. Remember, use code HOLIDAY, HOLIDAY, at shop.outkick.com to get our exclusive offer. Again, use the code HOLIDAY to shop at shop.outkick.com to unlock your exclusive offer. Sack the living hell up. As somebody asked Aaron, do we have any Don't At Me gear? Celebrate the holiday season with a little gear from our OutKick site. I got some right over here. I'm going to be wearing it all week. We need some Don't At Me gear. We need some Sack Up gear. The hell?